Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Aunties podcast, where we keep it real, raw, and relatable, where the group chat comes to life, and there's no limits here. So if you want some laughs, if you want some truth, or if you want that slight auntie side-eye, you know you at home. So today we're getting into, I guess, a topic that a lot of people don't talk about, but it needs to be talked about. You have those individuals that may want to control you, or they'll say, oh, why you gotta be so difficult? I can't love you when you like this. That's not the case. So the topic we're going to talk about today is, you're not hard to love, you're just hard to control or manipulate.
So basically what you're saying is we're really getting down to the root of in relationships, how people get into more manipulative relationships as opposed to loving relationships.
It can be a combination of both, in terms of you have relationships where everything is going good as long as you're, I want to say, obedient, or you're submissive. You follow direction, you listen, you don't talk back. And then you have other relationships where you constantly challenge or debate. And to the person that you're with, you're difficult. Or the first thing that usually comes out of a guy's mouth is, "Oh, you just crazy." Because you always want to debate and challenge things that he said, or just topics or discussions in general. You don't just let the person that you're with say whatever they want and you don't challenge it. You just say, okay.
So let me ask a question. So we're talking about people are not hard to love.
No.
People are just hard to control.
Yes. Or manipulate.
So when I think about this topic, I thought about it from all relationships aspects. I didn't think about it from a man, woman, or what do you call it, intimate relationship. I thought about it from any type of relationship. Friendships, people try to control friendships too. Say you're difficult, or you're challenging, or you don't want to listen, all those kinds of things. So, and I think it's all the things that you were pointing out, is that if people cannot control you, they cannot tell you where to go, what to do, how to do, when to do, and you have a sense of autonomy, and you have a sense of strength about who you are, and you have boundaries that you set, people dictate that as, or deem that as challenging, difficult,
being difficult,
hard to love. I can't love you when you're this way, because you don't know how to receive the love that I'm trying to give you. Yeah. And I don't think that's just in an intimate relationship. I think it's in any relationship where somebody has that controlling nature of always wanting to be in charge of the people that are in their lives.
I guess you could look at it, but when I initially came up with the topic, I was looking at it more of a relationship standpoint.
I think because you kind of hear it in that realm all the time. You hear it as, oh, he's just trying to control you. He's trying to tell you where to go, what to do. And I think those things, in that aspect, I think it comes from a person who's insecure, who lacks self-awareness. This is the only way that they feel like they're important, because they have that type of thing over the person, or that control over that individual. That's just my perspective.
So Joe, you said a lot in the introduction. When we talk about being manipulated, or I guess for me, and granted, I've been married for a long time, but I have not, and I've had relationships prior to my marriage, but I don't like to be controlled. I think y'all know that. And so whenever I was in a relationship where once that happens and you suss it out and you don't like it, you can start to see the signs initially. So I would just dead it. It was like, this ain't for me. I feel like when people, if I have a big personality, but at the same time, I have a strong personality. So I ain't the one that's going to be controlled in that way. And I believe that certain men will see that, she's too much for me, right? And I'm secure within myself to know that, because me, in my mind, I'm like, I'd be too much for you, but I'm just right for him. On to the next. Because I believe that love is unconditional. True love is unconditional. So if someone who truly loves me, I don't need to be less than. You know what I mean? And I think, to Jay, your point, when you say the other person is insecure because of that energy you give off, I don't want to date no insecure man. I don't never, you know what I mean? What the hell is that? But that same person where I'm too much for, there's another woman that may not have the same energy as me. Maybe that's cool. There's no shade there. It's just different energies where he can respect that. That's what he wants. And we're doing gender, so it could be even partners, even if it's another woman, right? Where she can respect, you know. So I feel a lot of it boils down to when you're being loved, that person's going to show up for you, all of you, right? Your fire, softness, if you're a complex person, they're going to show up for all of that. They're going to love all of that, right? The versatility. But I think it's a difference between that and being handled.
Yes.
Someone's handling you, right? Where they are managing you. they're trying to keep you contained in that.
Is it managing or is it just straight out controlling? I don't want to feel managing, because that's, to me, I feel like we do manage pieces of our relationships with our partners, right? So if we're the ones that's making certain things happen around the household, I'm making a physical appointment for me, I'm making a physical appointment for my husband. That's managing some time there. So
that's not controlling.
It's control. Or you trying to control?
Because you're right, but equally, so I love the way you gave that example when you're managing, like, for example, if you're gonna schedule a physical for yourself, which I do all the time. There's women out there saying, I ain't scheduling nothing for him. He's grown man. He should da 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 da. Rock on, mama. I'm always gonna be the one, especially if it's not. How can I say this? Because I think this is could be controversial. But, you know, I don't give a damn. I'll say it. I believe people should run their relationships the way they want them to be run. They're in a relationship. The only time I ever have inserted myself, and it's still measured, anybody's relationship, I don't. That's the way you want to rock, you rock. I'm going to do my joint the way I want to do my joint. My right. The only time I ever inserted myself where I should is to a certain degree is with my daughters and my son and my daughters. Right. And only if they have asked for my advice.
Right. Yes.
So that's where I do it. My friends, same thing. I don't say anything until they ask what I think. And even when I answer, this is how I would do it, but you're not me and I'm not you. And we have different values.
Right.
What I value could be very different from what you value. So you're asking my advice, but understand we may look at things differently. So I don't know how valuable what I got to say is going to benefit you, because we look at things different. And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. They'll take advice from a friend and run with it when maybe what I'm bringing to the table in my relationship, and I'm not trying to dim anybody's shine, but maybe what I'm bringing is something that you will never bring in your relationship, but yet you want the same thing.
Probably looking for the same outcome. Probably like you said, how I would do it in my relationship. This was the end result of how I did it in my relationship. Just because I'm telling you, this is how I did it. If you decide to go and try and do that same thing and expect the same outcome, that's on you, because it may turn out that way.
It may not turn out that way, and or what I'm valuing, you may not put a lot of stock in that, right?
Or the person you're trying to implement these things with, no, it's not going to work.
So that's why I feel like, going back to this thing, harder to control, I feel like sometimes people try to keep you're right. We won't say manage, we'll say control. I feel like people try to keep the person contained in a box, or whatever box that's the level of comfort for that person, right? I've had relationships where, of course, I was younger, where certain men were like, oh, you have a certain opinion, and they're like, nah, that's crazy, or whatever. And then there will be debates, because I could debate with the best of them. And where I would find out where maybe they didn't like what I said, or didn't like my perspective. And if I found they started to be bitching out, where they got too emotional, then for me, that was a direct flag of, you just a bitch ass. You can't even take a debate where I'm not getting emotional. We're just talking, we could be talking about the sky. We could be talking about the ocean. I'm saying, hey, listen, I love a good sunset. And all of a sudden they're like, fuck the sun, it's the moon. And we just debating about that.
Right.
And then if if you don't agree with them, that means you're against them.
Right.
And for me, you're just a bitch, because you can't even take a healthy debate.
Right.
We don't have to agree.
I respect the fact that we have our own opinions. Everybody has their own opinion about anything.
Perfectly fine. We could debate. So, and if on that respect, whenever I'm around somebody, especially if it's going to be a partner, someone I'm with, and they get so emotional about, I'm just disagreeing and they can't get it, then it's like, we are not compatible. Not in this way. I can't take that. I need us to be able to have the good banter, and I need you to be able to, you can get under the surface, you can hit below the belt, because I do sometimes, but not even emotional. Like when me and my husband debate about certain things, we go, but it's good because sometimes he'll challenge my way and we can go below the belt. And sometimes people on the outside, when I'm below the belt, say things that certain people be like, oh, I would never say. But
y'all have that relationship that you can.
I like real conversation, not surface level. That doesn't do it for me. So if my husband, we're debating about something, he says something that is probably really fucking funny. You know what I'm saying? And I've been in situations where people look like, oh my God. Or if I say something like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to us because we are very real. He doesn't take it one way or another. If sometimes we can get into a debate, him and I, and it just, maybe we agreed, hey, you think this way, I think the other way. And then, but it never gets emotional. My husband's he's not emotional. To me, I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it. A dude that's emotional and you can't debate, you acting like a fucking bitch. You can't even have a decent conversation.
We want men to be emotional, but not to the point where they cannot have a healthy debate. We need to have emotional intelligence. We need people
yes, I'm not saying
have empathy. We need the people they can have. But I think to your point, if it gets to the point where you feel like you're being attacked, conversation, that's something different.
You need to be emotionally regulated. That we would never even, if he was like, no, he just pulls my card because we think he knows how I think, so he can pull it, and then I'm gonna say something that's even more crazy. But it's a good, healthy balance, and I think too many men. And sometimes because we're gender neutral here, is you let your ego get in the way where you can't even hear what the other person is saying because you are so dead set on your view that you can't. And that to me, I hate a motherfucker like that. Man,
and that's a control thing too. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm always right, and you're always wrong.
That's right.
And go back to your point, like gender neutral here. So that these situations, just we're experience of our partners of being with men in our relationships, right? But this happens in any type of relationship where there's somebody who wants to be in control and just dictate their partner's lives or whatever, if we talk about people who are in intimate relationships. But I think it comes in friendships too. Some friends want to control their friends. They want to tell their friends, especially if they think they're better or they live in a better life than their friends are living. So that comes from a place of judgment. I think sometimes it comes from a place of jealousy. Maybe you want to do the things that I'm doing, but you rather judge me and try to control me instead of going out there and just living
for yourself.
I want you to give an example, because when you first kicked this off, give an example of that maybe you've experienced with control. What was discussed? Don't got to go too heavy, but what was discussed? I want to see, what I want to do is try to understand your example of the person feeling like you're just out of whack or whatever it is. What sparked this topic for you? That's what I'm getting at.
I guess there was another episode that we did when we just talked about relationships and how the dating pool is just crazy now and how men think. So I was having a discussion with someone and we kept going back and forth about it to the point that it almost touched on politics. And I had my viewpoint and he had his. But because I didn't agree with him, he couldn't understand why I felt the way I felt about this particular subject. To him, I was being difficult or I was being reckless with the mouth, so to speak. Because that didn't last very long, but just the point of we're talking and I'm not allowed to have my own opinion about anything. Whatever you said is right. There can't be no debate or no other side to the story or no other viewpoint on it. Whatever you said, whatever you think, that's the way. And it was a constant for a while where we couldn't even talk about politics. Even if we're both Democrats and I just had my viewpoint on certain things. But the more it got debated, you would almost think he's not a Democrat, but he keeps claiming that he is. So it just got to a point where we just didn't talk about politics at all. And after that, anytime I said anything, it was always a constant debate. Or you don't know what you're talking about. Why you got to be so difficult? Why you just can't agree with me? This is how it started to come out. Why you just can't agree with what I said? Especially if we was with other people and we was having a discussion. If I said anything against what he said, I was being disrespectful in his eyes because I wasn't submissive enough to let him have his moment in that discussion type shit. Because the other couple that we were with, the woman didn't say nothing at all. She was just saying, she was agreeing with what her husband was saying. And I can't do that. If I got something to say, or if I don't like something, or if I have an opinion about something, I'm going to speak on it. Respect me enough for me to have my own opinion.
Own mind and own.
Exactly. I don't say I may not agree with you, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're dead wrong. Try to look at it from other vantage points. And it just got tiring after a while.
So I have a question, which on the back, piggybacking off of that. So if you take that person out of the loop, now you're with someone else. I'm giving you a scenario. So now you say you're dating someone for a year and you're in a group environment with other couples, and that person says something that you're like, I don't know the topic. Pick a topic, maybe it's controversial, and you and him never had conversations outside of this group about that topic. So it's the first time you're hearing his perspective and his thought process around said topic. And it's something that he said that you're like, in your mind, what the fuck is this, right? Do you speak up in that environment? Do you let him roll with it? And then after y'all leave, y'all talk about it? At what point do you share your thoughts? I'll start there. That's my first part of the question for you. And then Jay, I want you to answer it.
That situation, if that was the first time we ever had this discussion, I'm going to give an opinion, but I'm not going to go full-blown debate. We would have to have a discussion at the end of the night, just us two, to find out where was he going with his thoughts. If this is my first time in that group environment and maybe his friends, I'm going to say something, but I'm not going to keep going. I don't want it to turn into a nasty debate. So I'm going to pick and choose how I handle that situation. Now, 10 years ago, it would have been a different story. I would have just said whatever and not given a fuck. Now I'm more, since that was our first time having a discussion like that, I'm not going to go full blown. I'm going to say what I need to say, but I'm not going to keep the debate going. You said what you needed to say. I said my piece. It's going to be clear that he may not agree with what I said, and I'm going to make it known to him I didn't agree with his. I'm not going to keep doing it in front of the guest. I'm going to wait until later on to discuss it further.
I think a couple of things. And I don't know if you remember, Key, we've experienced this situation in my life. So I don't know if you call. But so a couple of things. If we never had this conversation, one, if we've never been in other types of conversations or debates in front of these people, whether they be his friends or my friends, but specifically if they're really his people, not my people, I probably wouldn't say much, depending on what the topic is. I probably wouldn't say much in that moment because I have to feel the room and determine how this could possibly go because these are his people. This topic could be very heavy. If it's light, fluffy shit, whatever. But something that could be very heavy and very debatable, I probably wouldn't say anything at that moment. Have the conversation later. What did you mean by that? And why? Get an understanding of why they feel the way that they feel before I try to vet that out in front of his people. If we've had similar conversations like this in front of this group of people, I would feel comfortable enough to have a little bit of banter back and forth and see how far it would go. If it goes too far, it's time to end it. We're not going to do this in front of these. We have to take this a little bit more private. But I've been in that experience before. A conversation came up about a topic that we didn't have, and this person was the only one who didn't. Everybody else agreed, except for I'll just say it, my ex. Everyone was on the same page or the same limb for the most part, except for him, and basically threw a tantrum. I'm going to call it a tantrum is what was thrown because he was an outlier and in the debate. Not nice words were said in front of company, which I would have never done. And we've known each other. I don't know if we've ever had debates like that before. I don't think so. That may have been the very heavy first debate we've ever had in front of you guys. But that's neither here nor there. I would have never did that. I would have just ended the conversation and moved on. So hopefully I answered your question. I know it took a long time to get there.
You did. You absolutely did. I think there's a time and place for everything. And I'll admit that in my younger years, I probably was more fiery. Those of you can see that. I was probably a little more fiery. But at the same time, now it's like, I think if I was in a situation like that, it's a number of different variables, right? What are we talking about? Is the topic even substance? Is it worth it? Right? Yeah. All these things. That's why I said it takes into account the length of time I've been dating this person, how much time I have with them, the topic, the environment, who I'm around, whether it's his people, my people, a combination of both. Because sometimes you just got to be like, and also to the people that solicit your insight. sometimes I'll just sit and just let them all debate. And if someone says, well, what do you think? And I know I have a stark contrast against what the person is, depending on the topic, I may say, oh, I disagree. And I sip my wine, right? And then they may say, well, how? And then I'll say, again, with the people like this, that's heavy. I just come here to have a good time and be done, right? That's the more mature side. Younger side, I'm been like, because y'all batshit crazy, because 1, 2, these are the reasons why. Bah, bah. I'll come with my receipts. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, do we need to do all of that?
Right.
And then even too, depending on what the situation is, and depending on, again, how much I care about the person later on at night, I may bring it up, or I may store it back here and be like, oh, I gotta watch this. Everything doesn't have to be a debate. I feel like I had this conversation recently with a couple of weeks back. Love shouldn't have to be that hard.
No.
In your relationship, it should not have to be that hard.
Nope.
And people are making it harder than it needs to be.
And I think people like love and marriage take work. Yes, it does. But it doesn't have to be hard work.
No.
You're going to always be working at
Always.
it. But does it have to be hard? Does it have to be difficult? Does it have to be challenging?
Doesn't
No.
have to be.
It doesn't have to be those things.
I think sometimes people need the drama, and I can't take drama. And I think they need the drama probably because they're bored. And that, to me, if you need drama in your relationship, that ain't the person for you. I'm just saying, there should be no drama. I don't need drama.
There's enough of that in the world. I don't need it when I come home. I don't need it in my relationship. I want easy peasy, good times, good laughs, stuff like that. I feel like people are just shit starters, number one. You just gotta find something to start some shit on. I feel like we're just very negative. So everything is always on a negative spectrum versus how can we see the positive in this, or how can we change the trajectory of it? If you didn't like how it went down that way, how about you change that? And that comes down to who you're choosing to be with in your life. If you're choosing to be with people who are controlling or be around people who are controlling, do you have enough control over your own life? Ooh. Do you need people to control you? Do you want people to control you? So I ask those questions.
A question for you guys. How do you guys know when someone is trying to control you?
With the Jedi mind tricks?
What, just any
Jedi.
No, how do you
I
know?
call it Jedi mind games. That's
Give an example. Let's bring it to life. An example that is, you don't have to say names, just give an example of a time when a partner you had was trying to control you.
Isolating you, don't like none of your friends, don't want you to go nowhere, do anything. You got to check in, maybe going from one place to the next place. Those are some examples of trying to be in control.
same here.
I think the checking in is a common courtesy, depending on the situation.
Yeah, and depending on how it's done.
It
Don't
depends on how it's initiated, because if it's something that you both just do automatically, it's not. But if it's like, where were you at? You said you was going here, but now you over here an hour ago. I taking you so long to do this and do that. That's different.
That's for sure.
or you tell them that you're going to be somewhere and they're calling you while you're there when you're not with them that long. You was only gone a couple of hours. Why you keep calling me?
Or you got to
Things like that. I don't-
from point A to point B. Sorry, I'm leaving
If
here.
I've already texted you and told you I'm there already, or I've even given you the courtesy of calling while I'm there when I first reached there, why you keep calling throughout the time that I'm there? It's bad enough I don't like being on the phone with you when we're out and together. So why would you think that it's okay to do that when I'm with other people?
We want you to show proof that you've been to this place and that proof that you've been to every place that you said you've been to.
It shouldn't be a constant thing.
Are there any other areas? Because I guess for me, it's easy. I've, again, been married for so long, and we both see each other's, we can track each other where we're going and all that stuff. So that's not a thing. But I was like, if I wasn't married and I was dating someone, how soon I would even give them the opportunity to track me on the phone. I don't know.
I'm not doing that. If I call you and tell you I'm here, because I know most of them, they just want to know that you got there. I understand that part. So if I've done that for you already, whether it be through text or actual phone call, that should be enough.
So you would never, let's say you would with a person you're gonna get married. Y'all don't even share locations ever? Just curious. Not a right or wrong answer.
Even to this day, I haven't shared you talking about the actual share location on the phone? I have not done that. Only two people that has three people, my daughter, my sons, and now I just connected to my mom's phone. Other than that, I don't need to know anybody else's location. Oh, and I just added Madison.
How about you, Jay? What you
Because she
think?
has an Apple phone, so I'm able to do that on here. Other than that, I don't need to share my location with no one. The phone call and the text is enough when I get to someplace, and if it's late, I'm about to leave and I'm on my way home.
I don't say that I wouldn't. I don't currently.
Yeah, it has to be earned.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If this was your husband, you wouldn't
Yeah.
share your location?
Oh, you said before marriage, okay,
No,
if it's
I-
marriage, then I wouldn't, I have nothing to hide at
Yeah.
all.
Well,
Yeah.
I saying the thing is, I don't look at it as a hiding thing. This is me personally, and we've shared our locations for years.
It's not a hiding thing.
It's a security thing. It's just knowing that you're okay. We share. So to me, it's not but I question because again, I've been married for a long time, so I'm not in the thing. So I wonder if I wasn't married and I was dating someone, would I ever get to the point where I would share my location? Because even some of my day ones, we share locations with each other. So I don't know. It is weird. I don't know that I don't know.
As I said, the sharing location on the phone, I've never actually done that. But if I'm somewhere where I'm not familiar with, or this is my first time going and I just want somebody to know where I am, calling is enough. I've never actually had to share a location on the phone.
I've shared a location in terms of we're meeting someplace or something like that, but in perpetuity, I haven't done that with my kids. If I know like, this is so they have your ETA, it's not a constant call and check in. I'm 5 minutes out, I'm 10 minutes out. They can see how far I am on the phone. I've done that, and I don't mind doing
I
that.
had to actually use that feature, so
Do you think it's a form of control? Could it?
it could be, yeah.
It depends on how the person is.
Yeah, it just depends on who it is.
Yeah, it's how they're treating it. It's like, if example, my daughter's notorious with it, so we share locations. And this is not a form of control. This is just a form of being nosy because, Mom, you close to so-and-so. Can you pick me up? I don't know.
Our kids do that too.
But if it's a different way of why you over there, what you doing over there, you didn't tell me what's going over there. That's different. That's how it's used, in my opinion. So I think in terms of the control piece of it, I'm going to jump into the now section.
Okay.
It was back then, if we're talking about in relationship wise, anyways, agreeable women were praised. Like people who got along to get along, they got. It was praise. Oh, she's so nice and she just does everything the husband want or whatever have you. She agrees with everything. They must be having a great whatever. Their marriage must be great or whatever. Meanwhile, she's probably miserable as fuck. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying. There was no boundaries and stuff like that. There was no autonomy back then. If you think about it, women, they owned nothing. They controlled nothing. The men, if you got divorced, you lost everything, your kids, everything. Today, sometimes, not all men, but some of these men take them little regulars with you. Don't leave them here. I'm just saying. But so back then, there was just no boundaries set. Now today, I think people are celebrating, they're being more autonomous. They're setting more boundaries. They're having more control over their lives and they're finding the people that can honor and respect that. And they're choosing not to be with people who don't. So it's like,
I said, that's fine.
so another thing is like people would shrink to show themselves to make that person feel like they're loved. I need to make myself feel less than you so you can feel like you're loved and all that. And a lot of people are not shrinking themselves anymore. They're standing loud and proud as they should in their relationships. So I just think by people choosing themselves and knowing who they are today, they're creating healthier relationships for those who are in good, healthy relationships versus people who back then stood in those relationships where they had to, or being controlled or had to shrink themselves to make their partner feel more empowered and allow that control to happen. So I just think it's a difference in time, have more rights than they did back then. And again, we're talking about from a man and woman perspective because this happens in other types of relationships. So I want to discount that. We're not excluding anybody. It's just from our perspective of what we know and what we've seen and what we dealt with. So that's my dinner now.
So with the pick a struggle. So to pick a struggle here, going back to what you said earlier, Janine, about you gave an example of setting appointments for your significant other, making his doctor's appointments and things like that. I look at that as being manager, being considerate. So if the roles were reversed, you think he would be controlling if he was the one doing that for you?
No, because I'm thinking about it today, not today. Just think about it. It depends on the family dynamics or situations, right? There are men who are stay-at-home dads today, taking care. They're running the house just to maybe run a house for stay-at-home moms, and they don't even have to be stay-at-home dads or moms. They could both be working out there in the workforce. But people have certain strengths, and they rather do certain things. So fine, men rather do laundry, go grocery shopping, where the wife don't, and vice versa. So it depends on who has the capacity, or that's what they want to do. So I think whether I make doctor's appointments for me and my spouse, or he makes the doctor's appointments for us, just as long as them damn appointments are getting made and we going to get ourselves checked out, it don't matter who's doing it. Just get it done.
So do you rather be loved or controlled? Because you're giving that example as being controlling, not managing.
But making a doctor's appointment?
You said that earlier. You said
no. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. When Kira was saying control and manage, I was trying to give a difference between being control and manage. Control, managing me and my husband's day end or schedule is not controlling, and that could include making a doctor's appointment for both of us. That could include me telling him, don't forget, we have dinner tonight, or we have, or whatever. That's managing. That's not controlling.
It sounded like you considered that controlling because you're doing all that stuff. And I just, all right. I only asked the question because, as I said, there is a difference, and sometimes people can confuse it when they do things like that. They think they're being, the other person sometimes may feel that they are being controlling because you're constantly saying something to them or reminding them, or they don't look at it as somebody just being considerate and caring about you. So.
Sorry, if it's excessive and you keep asking me the same shit over and over and over again, and I already gave you an answer, that's annoying. It's not controlling, it's annoying.
So there was a clip that I saw where she made the doctor's appointment for her husband, but then she also wanted to go to the doctor's appointment, and the husband kept complaining that she don't need to be in the room when the doctor is giving. And she was saying that she needs to hear, because every time when she would ask him, what did the doctor say? Or how did your appointment go? He wouldn't give the whole story. He would leave things out, like his diabetes went up. He's not giving her the whole story and not paying attention or taking heed to the advice and the recommendations that the doctor has given him. So now he had to go back 3 months later. So now she says, I want to be in the room. And he's like, you being too controlling. Would you still think that that's controlling, or him being, or her being more considerate and wanting to really know what's going on with their health so she can stay on top of it?
I think in that situation, it sounds like she generally wants to know what's going on so she can manage him in a way where his stuff don't spike. Trying to keep him healthy, trying to keep him alive.
Yeah, exactly.
But I understand it's a bit much to try to be in the room with the doctor. Now, in our situation, we both have the same doctor. So there has been times when we're just getting, not the examination.
No, not the exam. I'm talking about the actual results and stuff, yes.
The first part, we've had the same doctor for 20-something years. We literally, as the doctor's going through the diagnostic, asking a bunch of questions, he could be in the room and vice versa. It's nothing that we don't share. Examination, I'm not in the room. And then there's times he goes to the doctor and I ask him, hey, everything good? And he'll tell me. I think it's to a point where you just have to trust your partner. I honestly, in that situation, which you mentioned in the clip, I wouldn't want to be with anybody that is going to be trying to hide something. That's stupid to me. You messing with the family, because if you croak, you eat a bacon sandwich or some shit, and you fucking done. Now, what happened to me and the kids? You know what I'm saying? I think you being selfish. You a selfish bitch ass motherfucker. So you supposed to be. I ain't trying to make y'all laugh.
I know you're not making it funny, but your ass always say some crazy wild shit. But it's not a lie. It's true.
Yes.
Want to be with anybody? To me, it's dumb. But I'm not. But at the same time, I am not going to demand to be in the room. The moment you're not doing the right things, you come back and you can't. When I say, "Oh, what did they say?" and you can't tell me something, and it's really serious, I'm gonna look at you sideways. Like you playing with your life. You playing around. So that could be an issue. It's gonna
I asked the question because the comments also, the husband kept pointing out that she's being too controlling because she wanted to be there and listen to the doctor. You're not trusting me enough, but I the last couple of times you went, you didn't tell me the whole truth, so now I'm coming. He made it jokingly, but people in the comments, some of the men were really saying that they agreed that she is being controlling. She don't need to talk to his doctor. She don't need to do none of that. That's not her business. That's not her concern. And I'm like, but David, from what it looks like, they've been married for over 27 years. I think that was
First of all, he gave her a reason not to trust him.
Yes.
Not being honest. So it's not controlling. You lied. You told the half truth. So now I want to know what the hell going on. You're your ass fucking croak in the corner somewhere, and I don't know why. Because you lied and didn't tell me what you need to be doing. And then that's going to make me wonder, what else are you not being honest about? If you can hide something so serious, what else are you being honest about? I'm supposed to be the person, first of all. I should know what the hell going on. What else you lying about? That's going to make me look at you. I'm going to start freaking, I'm getting a private eye. I don't know. You cheating?
Well, I do have a question before we get into our court case. And because of those of us, and Janine, you got fire in you too. So all three of us got fire. We just show it in different ways. Don't, yes, you do. So with having that fire, sometimes there can be blind spots, especially using I think the scenario that I mentioned earlier, like you're in a room with other people and let's say you have a flair, your personality, etc. So how do you know the difference between your partner calling out a genuine blind spot versus them trying to keep you contained and small or shrinking your personality?
It's all about the delivery.
But sometimes a person can say something and not be fiery when they say it to you, but because it's criticism, it don't matter how it's being said, the person receives it as you trying to keep me, you trying to contain, you trying to do, or they may see as disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
So is this scenario, this happened in front of people, or this was between them two alone? Because if it's in front of people, the delivery, something like that shouldn't be done in front of people. If you two are having an in-depth conversation about something, and depending on how you give your opinion about the other person, plays a big role. When you try now to do it in front of other people, that's now, you're being a little disrespectful, and you're being embarrassed. You're trying to embarrass.
Now, what if it's not in front of people and they're just like something that it's your personality and they can see where maybe you rub some people the wrong way, but maybe you can't see it. So now you're home and they're like, I think you might have came on too strong, or maybe you're acting too familiar, and then they're just being nice with it. So how do you know the difference between
that person said it the exact same way you just said it behind closed doors? It would be received a lot more inviting than you coming out, yo, the hell you was showing off your ass while we was out tonight. You be too much. You gotta cool off. That shit wasn't cool. You made me look bad. You see the delivery?
I don't think nobody that be talking to people like
I think that's very direct. I think if they shut down any type of feedback you give them, they don't value your opinion or your feedback, or they don't consider it, right? So if you give it, I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm just telling you something. I don't want to hear what you got to say. So your feelings and opinions don't matter. And you don't even got to say it that way. It's like whatever. So to me, when your feelings or your opinions or your concerns or your thoughts are baseless or meaningless to them, they don't value you. They don't value your thought. They don't see you as their equal, because nothing you say matters. That's one way.
The way you deliver it is you're being very condescending and being very
all your ideas is, here's one, you can give an idea, it's stupid, we're not going to do that, only to turn around 6 months later and do that very same idea.
All depends on delivery.
Well, but what if, so I'm just going to nudge just a little bit more, but what if what they were saying to you, the delivery was screwed up, but actually what they was coming across the same way how you said it, Joe. Yo, why you wilding out like that? People were, however you said it. Because I could easily see a dude be like, yo, you're a bit too much. You're a little over the top tonight. Tone that down. Right? Everybody don't want to hear that. Maybe that is actually true. Crowd, but you couldn't see it. Now he's delivering it to you in the wrong way, which then makes you buck back because of his delivery. But the reality is he's trying to give you something.
To give you a criticism. But as I said, if you want me to receive your criticism and for you to try to get me to open up or to look at your vantage point or to get to listen to you, it has to be the way you deliver it. You coming at me like that, that's causing confrontation. The way I gave it versus how you gave it, it would have been a little bit more receiving.
I get it.
And I could have saw what you were saying, and I'm like, I'll know now to be mindful of how I'm acting the next time versus, Because now it doesn't sound like I was doing anything wrong. It sounds more like I was outshining you in the way that I said what I said to you.
Go ahead, Jay, because I want to say.
I think when it's constant, when it's at every situation or it's every instance, because it's not always apparent right up front. Like, first example I gave, when I was saying that nothing I say means anything. You don't value my thoughts. You don't value my opinions. Nothing I say matters to you. And at the first time, I'd be like, oh, you just blew me off or whatever have you. But if you're constantly blowing me off and you're telling me your way of thinking is the right way of thinking and mine isn't, that's controlling.
Yes.
It doesn't have to come off that arrogant in that way, but you're constantly making me feel like my thoughts and my ideas and my opinions don't matter to you. It means nothing.
You're right. If it's repetitious, it's cool. I also think, and this is my mindset, and again, I'm just giving the scenario of you out and about, and maybe our fiery personalities was too much, right? And to Joe's point, because she did it so eloquently, because dudes do be like, yo, you was too much. You know what I'm saying? So I think anytime somebody gives me any type of criticism, no matter how it's delivered, for me, this is just me. Doesn't matter how it's delivered. I'm always going to think about, I always ask myself this question. I try to replay in my back. Is what they're saying true? Is there any element of truth to it? Is there anything? And then from there, I will decide whether, all right, or, oh, fuck it. You know what I mean? It depends. But I'm not going to try to debate it. And that question, I can ask myself that question real quick. Because I'll replay certain things, what I said. And sometimes I'll ask clarifying, what do you mean when I said what? Like, at what point? So you can give me the instance. So I can then dissect it and be like, maybe been too much, or maybe I wasn't, or maybe I just didn't care. But I would not immediately dismiss it and have an argument. This is just me. I wouldn't. But if it's repetitious, if every time we go out and he's like, can you, or giving me the prep talks before we walk in the, just try to tone it down a little bit. And then I'm like, go in there yourself, motherfucker. What are we doing? Then to me, that's not pointing out a blind spot.
You treat me like I'm your child and not your significant other.
I guess I was misunderstanding, because you talking about real life moments in a situation that we're out in public, or we're in.
I understood what you were saying. I understood what you were saying. I guess the moral of the story, listen, is women that love to be controlled. Ain't nothing wrong with
I said it at the top of the call.
Situations, if you know what I'm saying.
No, she said. I didn't know you was going down that path, because I was like, I said at the top of the call, some people do like to, I'm the top of the show, that some people do like to be controlled, but you talking about.
There's a time and place for the control.
Exactly.
And as Jill Scott, I can't paraphrase what she said, but it's so true. I'm going to try to she was like, if you can control me,
then you can control me. If you can't control me.
So I'm with the person that can control
In the way that you
want.
In
the way that it works for both of us.
Exactly.
With that, let's roll this Auntie Court case.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to Auntie's Court. Court is now in session.
Auntie's Court case. Court is now in session. We are talking about, listen, no matter where you're at, unfortunately, in the United States, we have a homeless epidemic. Right. It's gotten out of control. And with the amount of money that's going around in this world, I don't understand it. But here we are. It is what it is. In this particular instance, what we're about to show you. Matter of fact, I don't even want to go through it. Just roll it.
Are you okay?
Calm down.
Okay,
stop.
No.
It's okay, dear. Calm down.
So, dear.
Calm down. Calm down.
Yes.
Calm down. Let go of
It's okay, dear.
it.
Okay. It's okay. Are you okay? All right.
Lady.
Waking up?
Okay.
All right.
Calm down. What are you doing?
I think I'm okay. Oh my gosh. We're snuggling. Please don't let
Okay.
Please don't
We're good. Take care.
All right.
Are you okay? All right.
Okay.
You're doing okay.
That's interesting. All right, Tara, walk away.
My head.
Well, because we're...
Overdosing.
Would you like to keep one of these?
Oh my gosh, you're overdosing.
Would you like a cigarette?
You need it.
All right.
Would you like a cigarette? There you go. Thank you.
You need this stuff.
I'm okay.
Would you like a cigarette?
You need it.
All right.
Would you like a cigarette? There you go. Thank you.
You need this stuff.
I'm okay. You want me
I
to keep
think
it?
you're dying.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Why are you annoyed? Don't be annoyed.
You're being aggressive right now.
You're being
You're being
aggressive.
aggressive.
How am I being arrest him.
Hold on.
Yeah, we were just trying to help you there.
What do you mean? What did you do to me?
We thought you were dying.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, you wanted to annoy me, but
Nope.
that's okay.
Auntie, let go now, please. Let go.
I love you.
I know, let go.
Thank you.
You opting in annoyance?
Let go.
That's so stupid.
Let go of her.
That's okay.
She wants you to let go of
But
her.
you still feel annoyed.
Let go of her.
I do feel a little.
Yeah, you need to let go.
Well, then why did you do that?
I wanted to make sure you're okay.
Let go.
No, you didn't. Why don't you love yourself?
I'm trying.
Right?
Let go of her.
But you don't try.
Look
Okay,
up.
got it.
Let go.
What are you doing?
There you go. Thank you. Thank
Be
you.
blessed, lady. Be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
To the throat.
What you say, Joe?
After, give your,
No, just at this point, we're not, remember, we're just talking about, we're giving our estimates and our thoughts on the clip.
okay. This part you probably guys don't know. For the past 10 years, every winter, I put together about 50 care kits and keep them in the car to hand them out to homeless people I see on the street. Hat, gloves, soap, toothbrush, the case to put the toothbrush in, toothpaste, soap. 10 years I was doing that. And if I'm able to go and get out more, depending on who I mention it to, they'll give me money. I will go out and get some more and just make sure I always had these care packets in the car. That situation, after the initial touch to find out was the person okay, you start touching and rubbing, now you're trying to lick my face? Oh, you're getting a punch to the throat, just to back you up.
Sorry.
Don't be touching me, don't. I'm already putting myself out there by being nice enough to help you. Because it didn't show the beginning of the video, so we don't know all the particulars behind what provoked it. But as I'm looking at it, it was almost as if she was being funny too. Like, tell the person, why are you touching? Why are you annoyed? You're annoying me by coming over here, touching on me. So as the video was playing, that's what it was starting to look like. Like, she didn't like the fact that she stopped to check on her. And sometimes situations like that make you feel like you shouldn't even go out your way to help people if they're gonna act like that. Me personally, she would've got punched in the throat, sorry. One of those karate chops, something to back up, don't touch me. You okay? Cigarette, keep it moving. Next. Sorry.
Yeah. Wanna go?
I don't know if this is what she normally does. I think they said in the clip they was wanting to make sure that the person didn't overdose, the person was okay. So if this doesn't seem like this is her regular thing that she does, she goes and she sees somebody out that's homeless that she wants to check in on. Because I think had that been the case, she probably would have knew how to handle it a little bit better. She would have been able to de-escalate the situation. Felt like it kept getting a little bit escalated, and the woman who was perceived to be homeless. I don't know if she's actually homeless or not. By the look of it, she may be, but she didn't know how to remove her from her personal, and she allowed the woman to continue to grab and hold on because she didn't know how to disengage. So this tells me that she did not know how to handle the situation. I think had she done this before, she probably would have handled it differently. Furthermore, why are you videotaping this situation? What's the point? What are you trying to get out of this? So to her point, oh, you're annoyed? Am I annoying you? You annoying me? I'm over here minding my damn business, and here you are with whoever the guy was videotaping it. So I think that if it was something that she was doing, she wasn't ready. She was recording it. She wasn't ready for what she got, and she got what she got.
Yeah, this first thing that came to mind for me was the videotaping aspect of it. There's ways you can do good for individuals. I've given, you guys know the state we live in. You can come off a highway, and on the side of the highway, you're going to see some boats. And there's been times when I've given them breakfast because I was like, here, lunch, because we bought something. It's like, you know what? I literally just 2 weeks ago, my husband brought me some lunch. I didn't want that. And he was being nice. I didn't want it. It was literally in the bag. We came off the highway. I said, give it to him. He was like right there. And that guy, he was so happy to get, you know what I'm saying? Here. But it wasn't videotaped.
Right.
So for me, I was wondering, are they doing a documentary? And if you did, you didn't get the write-up for the lady. Clearly, you didn't get her authorization because she was like, but you're bothering me. You're annoying me. And that was indications like, we thought you were overdosing. No, you didn't. You feel like she knew, like,
It's happening.
A spectacle. If you want, I'm gonna give it to you. Gonna get all of this. I think people need to be mindful. And you can do good, but everything doesn't have to be
On public display.
And if you got to get the people to authorize that, because a lot of times people look at the homeless as less than. They're not people, and they're people. They've had lives. However they decided to. Whatever happened in their background that got them to that point. Still people. So I think she got, to your point, exactly what she deserved. She should have licked her face real good. Because you're exploiting us. You may have had good intentions because she was giving them the whatever, not overdose, I forget what kind of pen or whatever that was. Hell, you offering a cigarette. It's no, she just said, I don't want no damn cigarette. I want to die of cancer. You know what I'm saying? It could have been, but at the same time, I felt like how genuine was it if you're taping?
Yeah, there's a real intention behind what you were doing, and because people are homeless for many different reasons. I mean, world is what it is, right? And some people, I mean, there's different reasons. They don't have the resources. There's mental issues. People who they just choose. This is where that's comfortable for them to be out there for some, right? That's home for them. They have community. Some of these people, they all look out for each other. We see this, not getting permission, not having the conversation, because we've seen other places where we've given documentaries about the homeless. They talk to these people, and people are willing to have the conversation about their life and their experience. Clearly, you didn't get no permission from this individual, and you got what you got.
I was going to say that I'm quite sure when they do documentaries like that, though, they already have somewhat of a relationship with some of the homeless that's out on the street already. Like, they go out there every day and give them stuff. So they've already built a rapport. And usually they'll mention that they're doing this, and they're more open and receptive to what you're doing. But she clearly understood what was happening.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't ask her permission. So now she's giving back what you're trying to do over here. She's going to give you the full picture.
Yes,
I annoy you.
Right. That's what she's like. No, you were annoying me.
But it's okay.
Sarcasm there. You know what I mean? Like, to show you, I know what you're doing. So I'm going to give you what you want. You videotaping me? Oh, you going to get it all. Even when she went to go hug him and run to him, and it's giving them like, I could see, it felt like she was like, oh, I'm going to show you. Don't just assume that I'm overdosing. I thought it's a lesson. We should be more compassionate and show empathy. And if you can give,
don't make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions either. People come from all walks of life, and they wind up in spaces that they would never have even thought that they would wind up.
Whether they planned or chose it. That's it.
Yeah. That's my take. As always, your journey is absolutely yours. If there's anything that we discussed in this episode that resonated well with you, tell a friend, share, likes if you feel inclined to do so. If there's any topics that you want us to cover or weigh in on, you can always send an email to nyaapod1@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, and we absolutely, positively love you for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.